you feel like you want to chat, come and join us in Discord. We've got somebody in the waiting room at the moment. I wonder if he's going to talk to me. Let's drag him in. Let's give him a chance. And actually, we've got Daily Llama here as well. Hello, Daily Llama.
You're going to talk to me.
Hey,
Let's drag him in. Let's give him a chance.
Whoa, FPL Little Saints.
We've got Daily Llama here as well. Hello, Daily Llama. You're going to talk to me. Let's drag him in.
Never mind. He's listening to the stream, and it's really off-putting. Daily Llama, do you want to unmute yourself? Yeah, if anyone wants to chat. Hello, how's it going, Daily Llama? How are you doing?
I have unmuted myself.
You have unmuted yourself, but you're listening to the stream and not listening to me.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm good. How are you?
All is fine.
Good. Have you sorted your Discord team? I was going to say then, but your fancy team, how's it looking?
It's getting very templatey.
Yeah.
Is how it's getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're here. You're in the voice chat. Do you want to bring your thoughts to the table, or we're going to try and find someone else?
So where I'm at the moment, I'm going heavy in defence. Midfield's pretty standard. Up front, a couple of cheap options, but I think I'm going for a 4-4-2. That's how my team's shaping up at the moment, Jason.
A 4-4-2. Funny enough,
yeah.
I've got a 4-4-2 as well. It's on the screen now, and the thing is, there is great value to be had in defensive midfield. I think at the start of the season, I don't think there's going to be many top managers with expensive forward line. I think that seems to be the common theme that I'm seeing across the board at the moment. Would you agree with that?
Yes. So your lineup that you've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Just having a look at yours. So I've put Zabaleta in there. Don't have Trent. I have Laporte in there instead of Zinchenko. Looking at your midfield, I have went with Fraser as opposed to Zaha. And then Donker's in there as well at the moment.
Yeah, I've got him on my bench at the moment. But yeah, my team is by far the final version. But obviously, there's question marks on Perez, Zaha still for me. I started without Salah, but I can't ignore Salah, especially now he's obviously back. My bench probably will change a bit as well, but Zinchenko, will he be a mainstay in the City team from game week 1? We don't know that.
I think that's why, Jace, I went Laporte.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he hadn't been more nailed on. The other thing I've noticed is you've just got one Everton player in your defence.
I do.
Are you tempted by Sigurdsson or Richarlison?
I actually took out Sigurdsson to downgrade to be able to afford. Who was it? So to bring Salah in, I had De Bruyne. I had De Bruyne in my midfield. So I took out him to bring in Salah, and then downgraded Mendy and Sigurdsson, and that's where I got the funds. So yeah, I am very tempted with Sigurdsson. I do like him as a player, and if I do have to shape my team around, get Zaha out my team, for example, and maybe Perez as well, then I could possibly look at mixing around, spreading the funds around a little bit more to try and bring him back in.
See, I think I would need somebody like you or the people in the community to convince me to start piling in on Leicester. If I look at Leicester's fixtures, probably from about game week 8, game week 9, I think they start getting a bit better. But at the start, I can't see my team having any Leicester in it.
So you're not tempted with Jamie Vardy?
No, up front at the moment, I've got Deulofeu and King.
He's going to get a lot of service, though, isn't he? Leicester are looking pretty stocked up in midfield now.
Yeah, but I fell out with Brendan Rodgers when he left. But no, you're right. I think Brendan Rodgers will have Leicester pretty much. I think he'll have them well set up. But yeah, if you look at the fixtures still there from about game week 7, possibly I'll start looking then to start putting some players in from Leicester. see how they start the season off. But I think you're right. I think they'll still be pretty strong though to begin with.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a mention in chat about Leicester's first few fixtures being difficult. That Leicester's first eight fixtures are difficult. I do think that whilst they're not easy fixtures, I do think that there's going to be goals in those fixtures. And like, you don't bring in Jamie Vardy, if you're worried about the fixtures being hard, because he can concede as many goals. He's not there to defend. He's there to score goals, and he can score goals against anybody. And he's got the service. He could score. He could score big in the first few weeks. And it's one of those where if you've maybe gone from a Callum Wilson or 6.5 up to Vardy at 9, then you could reap really good rewards out of that. But you could also spread that extra 3 million across other areas of your team, like you mentioned.
Totally.
Or 2.5 million. Sorry, 2.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment the way I've set it, so I've got my team set up. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking at the moment until FPL Buna starts having a look at it and then he rips it up for paper.
Well,
but at the moment, I've got 0.5 million still in the bank, which is another mistake that I kept making last season, whereby I was always just a smidgen short of where I wanted to go. So it was always involving 2 transfers as opposed to 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, a few people are talking about 4-5-1 in chat. Now I'm assuming that a lot of people are going to be having a cheap forward, right, in a 4-5-1. Guys in chat, do you want to talk? Let us know.
I would assume so. It's either that or you're the same as me. You've got Dendoncker there in your team at the moment, but for me, he's probably sitting at first on my bench.
Yeah, exactly. First on the bench. So
if you're playing a 4-5-1,
for
me, if you're playing 5 in midfield, I played 5 in midfield last season for a chunk of the season, and it did me really well. But it was a strong midfield.
Yeah, I wouldn't have Dendoncker in my team if I was playing a 4-5-1.
No,
the spine of my team would be Zinchenko, Van Dijk. Well, at the moment, what I would keep in would be 2 Liverpool defensive line with Mo Salah, with a Man City defender. Now, again, this all comes down to money. 4-5-1, I do like a 4-5-1. But who would the striker be, though? This is the thing. Would it be a King, a Josh King, or would it be, would I look to move it towards,
But Diego Costa when he signs for Wolves, won't it?
Oh yeah, but how much do you reckon Diego Costa's going to come in at?
It'll cost a lot.
Cost a lot, yeah, absolutely. No, I do think that I probably would stick with King at 6.5 on penalties, and Bournemouth has got some really tempting fixtures in the first I wouldn't even say Arsenal away is a hard game. I mean, up until early November and before, when Man United at home, is that a hard game? I mean, in this day and age, I mean, they've got some really nice fixtures. Home to Sheffield, away at Aston Villa, first 2. Okay, like everybody's mentioned, at home to Man City is not great, but after that they've got a lot of greens. So I think I'm not saying anything different to anyone else really that's putting a team together. But the 4-5-1 is a really viable option. I think it really is a viable option. And if I can, I've seen people doing a 5 at the back. Yeah.
I get that. Well, somebody posted a team up that was a 5-2-3.
5-2-3. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Salah and Sterling in midfield.
Yeah. So let's look at midfield options then. Whilst did you say you were going with a 4-5-1? Sorry.
No, I'm going 4-4-2.
You're going 4-4-2, right? Okay. See, I was quite convinced in the 4-4-2, but now I'm like looking at these teams of 4-5-1, and I'm actually looking at it quite nicely, thinking.
See while you're building your team. See your Van Dijk and your double up in defence.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of questions coming through Discord when people have been picking teams about having 2 players from one team sitting at the back.
I think to be honest, Well, I think you don't necessarily have Alexander-Arnold in just for the clean sheets. Like you get defenders where you bring them in because they've got a great attacking potential, right? And Robertson and Alexander-Arnold are two of those players. And Van Dijk is an absolute monster. He's a he attracts bonus points. He's a brilliant defender for Liverpool, and he scored really well last season. So my thinking is at 6.5, he really does enable those that extra bit of money into midfield. So especially if I'm going to do this 4-5-1, I feel that if I was to go with a Robertson, or I mean, people mention Chelsea defenders as well, great value for money for those. I'm not quite convinced at the moment. But Lama, what is your backline then at the moment? Sorry, you said Laporte.
So I've got Van Dijk, Coleman, Laporte, and as let's just call him as
Azpilicueta. Okay.
Yeah. Boona's been banging on about this guy from Bournemouth called Stacey.
Oh yeah.
I've lumped him in there as a 4.5.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm probably going to need to do a little homework on Chelsea in pre-season. But if Bouna and the rest of the guys that are following this guy Stacey are saying what there's, I don't know if you've seen the video that was posted in Discord, but the guy's got some amount of pace on him.
Yeah.
If he's starting,
yeah,
I might just punt him in there, game week 1.
I think you could do well there. Yeah, I mean it is a punt. You said it's a punt, but I was gonna bring in Kid Boy into the live chat as well, and I'm gonna throw down. All right, I'm gonna throw down the Elite FPL Dan as well into the live channel as well. So Kib, I think Dan's AFK, but Kib, are you there? Keyboy 1888.
Yeah, mate. Can you hear me?
I'm great, thank you. I can hear you. Yes, loud and clear.
Right,
Brilliant. So you joined the waiting room. I think if I'm not mistaken, you were on the live stream earlier on with Steve-O, weren't you? You were talking to him.
Yeah, I made my debut last night. Man.
Okay, it was last night, was it? Okay. So
I mean, for me, I'm in Australia, so it's a different time.
Oh, you're in Australia. Okay, so it was earlier on today for me. So Keyboy, we're talking about formations. What is the formation you're with at the moment, and why have you chosen that formation?
So I'm in a bit of a weird spot with formation because I've been advocating in the Discord channel pretty much that the only way to go is 5 at the back, but I haven't actually made a draft yet that's been 5 at the back.
Yeah, what is the key 5 defenders? That's the question. Anyone that's saying 5 at the back, you need to pick 5 great defenders, and you'd imagine that it's going to involve double Liverpool, right?
Oh, 100%. I think if you're going to go 5 at the back, it absolutely needs to be your complete premium defenders. It needs to be like a Laporte, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Digne, that sort of thing.
So you think you heard Lama just talking about Azpilicueta. Would that be someone that you would bring in at 5 if you were to play 5 at the back?
I don't mind Azpilicueta. I'm more of a guy that I'd rather wait and see, because obviously you've got the new manager in there and stuff like that. I'd rather wait it out. I'd rather have someone in I'd triple up in Liverpool or triple up in Man City before I did something like that.
Right. So right. Okay. So what about Tottenham? What about Tottenham then?
Spurs is sort of the same. I mean, I think Spurs with Ndombele coming in, I think they'll be defensively more tight this year. So I think they are actually a pretty good pick. The only problem is their fullbacks are pretty well rotated, and Toby Alderweireld is looking like he's going to move. So you sort of got to wait out and see with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got Vertonghen, who is going to start. I think he's 6 mil, isn't he?
Vertonghen is. Let's have a look. He's 5.5 Vertonghen.
5.5. I mean, you can put him in there. I think Hugo Lloris is a good shout as well. They're both consistent, but I think the key point with them, like I said, is within Ndombele, I think they'll be a bit more defensively sound this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wait and see. I've been seeing it all all pre-season really on the podcast that I'm just going to wait on Tottenham really before I commit to bringing any of their players in. Much like Chelsea as well, I'm not 100% sure that Chelsea are going to start very well in the season under Lampard. I could potentially be wrong, of course. So yeah, I'm looking at 4-5-1. What's your thoughts on a 4-5-1 then?
I don't really think formation's a massive part of the thing. It just depends on what your actual team looks like to me.
Yeah, well, if you've got the big hitters in, then you're going to be able to chop and change between the lower price ones, aren't you? To change formations quite easy. It's only when you've not got the likes of Salah in, and then Salah explodes, then you may have to like do a bit of minor surgery in your team to try and get him in before you miss out big time on him. But so you joined the podcast earlier on today. You spoke to Steve-O. Is there any players that you just mentioned about Spurs, but is there any players that you're almost waiting to be convinced about bringing into your team at the moment? Almost like you're almost there, but you just want to see what their pre-season is going to be like before you nail their slot into your team.
Right, yeah. I mean, the standout one to me that I saw straight away was Sanchez from United. Now, obviously, given his last season, it's absolutely diabolical, but he's £7 million, and if he has a good run out in pre-season and he starts starting, even if he's not playing that well, it's pretty hard not to go for Alexis Sanchez if he's playing week in, week out.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, Manchester United, they're literally flying underneath the radar. Everyone's dismissing them. And to be honest, I'm one of those people that is kind of like, probably not even going to be passing much of my thoughts. I did look at the price of Alexis Sanchez. I'm not going to lie. It is so attractive. We all know in previous seasons what he's capable of, but he's never really looked up to it in a United shirt. If he has a great, he's injured at the moment, isn't he? So the latest I heard, he was injured. So
is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean, someone in chat can confirm that, but I believe he was out. Not a major injury or anything like that, but certainly at that price, if he does, start playing, early season for United, I mean that is an absolute bargain to get in for United if he's going to nail a spot there as a regular starter. But it's just a big if for me, isn't it? I mean, we saw him in last season. He just looked lethargic.
I think it's his weekly wage packet that weighs him down.
Yeah, he's just laughing all the way to the bank, isn't he? Really, let's be honest with you. So yeah, that's a good interesting topic really for Alexis Sanchez. So you heard what Stevie Lama said about Jamie Vardy for Leicester. Now, obviously their fixtures aren't the greatest, but it's Jamie Vardy. Do you hold the same opinion to me that he could do really well, even though the fixtures aren't so great at the start of the season, with the service is going to be getting in from that star-studded midfield of Leicester now?
Mate, in terms of fantasy Premier League, I'm pretty much Jamie Vardy's agent at this point, mate. Every time anyone asks me about my opinions on who to play up front, my first choice is Jamie Vardy. I cannot take him out of my squad. The amount of goals he was getting ever since Brendan Rodgers has come in, it's just like top quality form. And like you said, you've got Yuri Tielemans coming in, Maddison behind him. It's such a good midfield, and even
Perez now, even Perez as well.
Exactly. And
you're gonna be fighting for positions.
Yeah, the front three is not magnificent, so he's still the main man when it comes to finishing. And a lot of the play will be going through him, and I think, to me, I just can't take him out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if I can pick a team around 4-5-1 with Jamie Vardy as being the sole striker. That would be interesting. One that I'm actually happy with, because obviously that extra bit of money from going from King, or Wilson up to Vardy, it does mean that I'm gonna have to sacrifice in midfield somewhere. Obviously, with a cheap defender that isn't probably going to see the light of day for me sitting on the bench. Because if you're going to play the 5-man midfield, I'm completely in agreement with Lama that you need to have pretty decent, mid to premium price players sitting there in midfield. But yeah, have you got anything else to add to this moment we're talking about at the moment?
I think if you're going to play with one up front, then I think bare minimum you need to have a Jamie Vardy or a Lacazette or something like that, because I'm not a huge fan of teams that are playing the 4-5-1 and they have the king up front or something like that. It just, to me, I don't like relying on someone that's not at least a middle class striker.
There's a lot of teams bouncing around with King as the lone striker there, I've seen, and some even with Kane. Now Kane, could end up being the lone wolf, really, the dark horse of the beginning of the season, the one that everyone kind of like brushed aside because of obviously the injury to Son and Tottenham as a whole. That could be really interesting come game week 1, I think, to see how many people have picked Kane and how he performs.
Yeah, I think Kane's a bit of a weird one for sure. With Kane, at least there's not a whole heap of people that have got him. So if it comes game week 1, game week 2, and he's banging in goals, he's a pretty easy swap. If you really want to swap Salah or Sterling out and get him in, it's not too difficult. But I think, given his injuries last year and his infamous August form, I think you're probably better off just waiting the first couple of weeks and waiting to see how he goes.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, that's my thing as well. I have to totally agree with you there. I think Kane, ever since he got that bad injury on his ankle, I get the impression that he plays always thinking about his ankle, and that's my fear with Kane. I don't know. I think he's going to pick up injuries, I'm afraid. I've
got an interesting. Actually, I've got a good point actually been made in chat by Vince Chapman that he classes like Salah, Sterling, Zaha all as strikers. Is that a sort of attitude that you look at, especially if you're playing a formation where you're not going to necessarily have more than one striker playing, like so a 4-5-1, where you've got those premium, talented midfield options. I mean, you look at Salah, his positioning. You look at a lot of games where Sterling was playing up front. Do you think of it that way, where you can have two strikers sitting on the bench and
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of the same way as what we think with defenders that are attacking.
Yeah. Whereas you've only got one striker, but you've got the extra two on your midfield, and they're going to be getting extra points at every goal and also clean sheet bonus as well, which is another thing to take into account when you're making a team.
I see what you're saying, but the only problem is that obviously if you're playing one up front and your one guy up front doesn't start, then it's a bit annoying.
It's a bit annoying, yeah. Yeah, it is a bit annoying. And you got to try. Yeah.
So have you got Vardy in your team at the moment?
At the moment, yeah, I've got Vardy in my team.
So who you got up front with him?
Well, I'm just looking at rejigging my team around at the moment. Yeah,
right, so sorry, yeah.
I did have King. It's King. So I mean that would be massive luxury to have a bench option of King. That would be, and also I'm a great advocate of not having money tied up on the bench as well, especially if you've got a starting 11 that is going to realistically play. I certainly wouldn't want to be having 2, 3, 4 million sitting on the bench over some cheapies that I could have instead. So yeah, basically, I'm going to look at putting a 4-5-1 together now, which I'd be happy with. So I'm going to look at midfield options now. In midfield, with the 4-5-1, because I've chosen obviously Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk. I haven't gone with Laporte. I've gone with Zinchenko. I've got a little bit more money, but I have got the combo of Salah and Sterling, which I think a majority of people are going to have in their teams, which is obviously left me with 5 players remaining and 29 million in the bank. So I haven't got a great deal of money to spend. So Fraser from Bournemouth, question. I think if I'm not going to go with King, then I should go with Fraser. What's your thoughts in chat, and what's your thoughts in the chat room here?
Would you go cheaper with Brooks?
Would I go with Brooks? Brooks, he's not. See, again, I'm really like if I'm playing a 4-5-1, It really is. It's a great point what was made a minute ago. Playing a 4-5-1 is great, but the bench is going to be 2 strikers that are probably not going to play or get anything. So you're looking at a maximum of 1 point on the bench, maximum. So like I can't risk bringing in midfielders that are gonna. I mean, like Brooks. I mean, he could easily not feature or be reduced minutes. Game time. There's obviously other players like Stanislas that are going to be vying for minutes as well. I do rate him. I do like Brooks. I just I've got a worry about Brooks. I'd be more confident with Fraser than having Brooks.
What if he went to Arsenal?
What if he went to Arsenal? Yeah. Well, is everyone going to Arsenal, are they? I don't know.
Or Man United, one of the two.
I think another one would be. I think another one. If Zaha stays, at Crystal Palace, I think that is another one. Which is, I think again, it's gonna be a popular pick, isn't it? Zaha at Palace with Milivojevic. That midfielder position now. I mean, that to me is great value. 7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 million's brilliant for Zaha.
Yeah. So Fraser and Zaha. I mean, though, Zaha is a purely wait and see. We all know what Fraser can do, and I'm quite excited to own at least one Bournemouth asset. I know people like Block FPL were even thinking about tripling up on Bournemouth actually for their fixtures.
Yeah, I don't know about tripling up. Tripling up seems a bit extreme to me.
Yeah,
I'm personally, I think. I know you're set on going 4-5-1.
I'm not. I'm not set on it. I'm not set on it. I'm just trying to build a team that I'm.
Right, I see.
Yeah, I was going 4-4-2, but now I've been my head's been turned, so to speak, at 4-5-1, and I'm thinking, well, let's have a look at this 4-5-1 option and see what there is, because it's a long time. We've got best part of a month until the season starts, so. It's just time to just consider your options.
Yeah, I'm not too sold on Fraser because I just can't see why I'd pay an extra mil for Fraser when I can have King in instead. I think I think King's pretty similar in terms of quality. I think last year he actually underperformed in terms of how many goals he was supposed to get. He's got similar stats. The underlying stats to Wilson are actually really similar. So to me, I'd play 2 up front and put you back to a 4-4-2.
Yeah, you put me back to 4-4-2.
I'd take Fraser out, put King in, then that gives you a bit more money to play with in the midfield.
I mean, historically, I've always preferred like the 3-4-3 or the 4-3-3 formation. I do like the 3-4-3 formation, but I think at the start, probably I'm going to go with. Everything's pointing to 4-4-2 for me, but this is the reason why I'm trying something different this stream, because I just want to move away from 4-4-2 to see if there is an option which is really going to kind of make me reconsider. Sorry, yeah.
No, I think I was sitting with a 3-5-2 up until this morning.
Really, what was your team like?
Oh, hold on now while I try and find what draft it was in.
I can't see myself playing 3 at the back this year. There's just too many quality defenders that are just so cheap when you compare them to everyone else.
And yeah, that's it. I mean, I think with Liverpool fixtures as well, it kind of just solidifies that, having the 2 Liverpool in, and also the value you've got in, like you said, the premium defender style options is absolutely brilliant. So that's why I can understand why people are looking at 5 at the back. I really can understand that. I certainly will.
Especially the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't want less than 4. Put it that way. I wouldn't want less than 4. So that comes. So it's either going to be a 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 for me, and I don't think attackers are going to be that sought after. There's not a great deal of attacking options around between the 6.5 sort of mark that stand out other than obviously than what we've talked about as King, Delafeu, Let's bring up the price tag.
I think Jota would slot in there as well, Jason.
Yeah,
but
Jota but
with
it's the
with-
fixtures again, isn't it?
yeah, and like being in Europe and stuff as well. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's going to rock their boat a little bit.
I think it's gonna be different for them. It's a change of their routine, isn't it? Yeah, they're gonna be
Look
flying.
at Burnley last
Yeah.
year.
My 3-5-2, by the way, had triple Everton in it.
Triple
morning.
Everton. Triple Everton.
Yeah, I went Coleman, Richarlison, and Sigurdsson.
5 at the back makes you lose 0.5 to the bench. Yeah, Chaban, you make a point there. You do make a point. You do lose 0.5. Tristan Mitchell, thanks for that subscribe. That's much appreciated. So,
But I mean, still, if you're paying 0.5 to the bench, I'd pay 7.5 mil for Robertson instead of
Yeah.
7.5 mil for Fraser.
I see. I see what you're saying there. I mean, it depends on how you look at it, doesn't it? It depends on where you think the most value is going to be gained by by having that defender. Is it an upgrade from that cheap to medium priced midfielder that you're going to and I do think you're going to. The more I look at the other teams and my own team, the more I realise that you can't. It kind of pushes you back to the template, and it's such an obvious statement to make, but it really does. I mean, like Dendonka at 4.5. I mean, I do think that's a great asset to have in your team. Obviously, he'll be benched for me, but signing a new contract with Wolves. Wolves now they look. I've always liked Wolves from the beginning of last season. They're just looking a really good team. So to me, Dendonka's a great price player to have in midfield as a cheapie. Fraser, is it going to be a Fraser? Is it going to be a Brooks? Is it going to be a Perez? Is it going to be a Zaha? That sort of player, that price point. That's, to me, I think the most variety in teams is possibly going to be seen in midfield.
100%, I agree. Yeah, the basic template seems to be minimum 4 defenders, all premium.
Yeah.
Then your midfield is Salah and/or Sterling, and then a bunch of 7 mils or Sigurdsson or Charleston, something like that, and then 2 cheap strikers. It seems to be like the absolute template.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Deulofeu. I do like the fact of I do like his fixtures. I like him as a player as well. He's. Anyone here got Deulofeu in?
I'll have.
You'll have him
But
in?
I think it's if you look at his fixtures. Yeah, so I think the first 4 fixtures are not too bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's not he's at a price as well where he's going to enable that more that Perez up to a Sigurdsson. Especially if I'm downgrading a Vardy. Or like upgrading Zinchenko to Laporte or something,
I think Leicester are going to be they're the team with the best pick of players. I think that is true. I've not got any in at the moment, but I was looking more from about game week 6, 7, 8, something like that, and about that time. Probably when I'm wildcarding. I just think the prices of Leicester are all about. Like they're kind of affordable, and you can kind of fit quite a lot in and around them.
Can we, guys in chat? Can you put an X in chat if you've got anyone in your front line that's over 8 million?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I
was going to say just there, like talking about Vardy before, how I was saying, Vardy's brilliant because he's 9 mil, and this is my only qualm with him is that I seem to be. Whenever I see anyone's team and it has Sterling and Salah in it, it never has Vardy. Except for you actually did have one before, and I was really impressed that you managed to squeeze it in. But it's so difficult because a £9 million striker this year actually isn't that cheap. A £9 million striker is actually quite a lot compared to what everyone else seems to be doing with the template.
Well, a lot of people are Xing up in the channel saying Tielemans at 6.5 is a steal. Keep Vardy. Tahir saying he's got Kane in. Oh. So that's more than I thought. That's more than I thought in chat that
I'm
they're saying
surprised.
about Vardy and about having expensive. Because I was thinking that right now that the popular opinion is to go cheap across the board in the striking options.
Yeah, because surely it's not all Giroud's.
Yeah, it's interesting though. It's interesting because I would consider a lot of the people in chat to be hardcore FPL players. You know, that are, spending time watching a FPL podcast before the exciting period. A couple of weeks before game week 1, before the game really starts ramping up, and they're looking at the likes of Vardy, Kane in their teams. Also, like I think even Aubameyang was even mentioned as well. I've seen Aubameyang's name being mentioned a lot. Personally, not for me. A Lacazette up top with Kane, says David's Gaming and Vlogs. Lacazette up top with Kane. What's your midfield like? You can't have Sterling and Salah in your midfield. Surely not.
Yeah, that would be my worry. I just think that I don't know. Salah and Sterling, you're going to lose a lot of rank if you don't have them in your team, I think.
I think
So for me, I kind of built my team around day 2, if I'm being totally straight.
That's the thing. I mean, I was speaking to Block FPL about this, about having like high ownership players and not having high ownership players, and looking about like, the damage that can be caused by not having Salah, Sterling. You've just hit the nail on the head. I mean, they are proven goal scorers, assisters. They're machines at FPL, and they attract points. And if you're taking them out for players that aren't necessarily in form, like Kane, that is a risk. But believe you me, risks and pay off. I mean, they do. But then also you've got to factor in the fact that they do get more points per goal. They do get a clean sheet point as well. So these things, I mean, you might not think a 1 point difference or a 2 point difference could be much, but you spread that over a few weeks, and
No, you're totally right. I don't know. I think with the start of the season, for me personally, I don't want to be taking too many risks. So yeah, my team might be a little bit templatey with the odd 1 or 2 players that are a little bit different, but to be honest, I can't see them being that much different. But at the start of the season, I don't want to be. I mean, for me, Aguero, I thought he was going to be a first pick in my team, but I just can't build a squad around him, Salah, and Sterling that I'm happy with.
Yeah, exactly. It's Aguero or Sterling. It's always been Aguero or Sterling, and I think a lot of people, Aguero's not getting any younger. He's still a great player, of course he is. He's probably still going to be Man City's number 1 striker, of course he is. But Jesus is knocking at the door. He had a great World Cup, not World Cup, sorry. What's it called again? The Copa America. That's it. He's my mind just went into mush then. It's been a long day. And I just think I can see Jesus playing minutes, and Aguero being, we were seeing last season, weren't we, that Aguero was being subbed off like 55 minutes.
Exactly.
And that's just like, it's just he can still get a hat trick in 55 minutes, of course, but it's just something which you don't want to have to deal with in the start of the season and going into.
Yeah, I agree.
Such a
even if Jesus got a hat trick in the next game that he plays, and then the last game of pre-season he scores 3 again, I still wouldn't put him in my team. Like the first game week, you need to have players that are 100% are going to play a full game. If not, 70 minutes. It's too big of a risk.
Yeah,
no, totally. It's like Batshuayi as well. If he comes back, I don't know. Could be someone else that I could shove in there.
Adam France in chat says that you should stick to your guns and not panic. If you go with no premium striker, stick to your guns and don't panic is the key. You said it yourself. I mean, FPL is about accumulative points over a period of time. You set your team up. You don't set your team up for game week 1, do you? You don't set it up for 1 game week, and then think after 1 game week, back to square one. Let's start making transfers. Well, most people don't.
No, I think that was my biggest mistake last season, was that it was, right, I better change a few of these players around now, you know. But if I'd kept them in, my points were not too bad 2-3 weeks later. But because I've went and probably banged in about a 16-point hit, because I've jumped on bandwagons or whatever the case may be. So this season, I posted it on Twitter. I'm sticking to my gut.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying all last season, weren't we? Like when we were reflecting on our game week scores or performances of our teams, it always boiled down to going with your gut. Like we were saying in the podcast, what players we thought would be doing well at that stage, and a lot of the times it really does come down to just sticking to your guns, going with your gut, and playing the game how you want to play the game as opposed to going with the crowd.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'm saying yes to you, and I'm sitting there with probably the most template team that's ever
well, yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah, we would play it safe, haven't you? You can always wild card in a few game weeks time, but
true,
because again, my opinion, the wild card is the first wild card. I think a lot of people that wild carded after game week 4, game week 5 last season, they really shot up. Like I said a minute ago that you should be quite stubborn and stick to your guns, but you should be very alert to when you need to change. Like, and if your team isn't working out and you've given it 2-3 game weeks and it still isn't working out, that's when you need to make changes and try to be ahead of the curve when those wild cards do come in, because believe you me, you'll be the first to know about it if you don't.
Yeah,
so
I think
true.
the bench boost thing last year, up until pretty much the last day, I'd done my squad so that I had every single position and every single bit of the bench there was no stars or anything like that. It was just every single position was filled, and it was like a good team for that one specific game week.
Yeah.
And then my plan was to just use the bench boost at game week 1, and then wild card game week 2, and then change it back, because the bench boost. But last year I didn't even use it because my bench never has anyone that is over the bare bones that it can be, and so there's a little bit of merit in that for me. Where is it worth using your wild card if you're going to get the absolute best out of your bench boost?
I mean, to me, the bench boost is best used after you planned with your wild card in the second stage of the season. And then I think I used my bench boost and it failed quite miserably. I don't rate bench boost, put it that way. I don't rate it as a chip. I mean, you can easily blow your bench boost, and it's not like a free hit. Like, to me, a bench boost is a low point ceiling. But I think we've got Jason Costa in chat who wants to have a little talk about FPL. I'm going to drag him in now. Jason Costa, if you're listening, can you make sure you're not having the stream playing through your speakers? Because it will be very annoying to myself, the guys in here, and also the guys watching the stream. So give me a few moments just to make sure you're not listening to it, and I'll drag you in. Think of some questions you want to ask Jason, chat, and Keyboy and Stevie as well. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask him.
Yep.
I believe FPL Little Saints, also known as Jason, is from Cyprus, so that's an interesting place to have a guest from. I've not seen Cyprus mentioned much, and I think he's 2 hours ahead. So let's drag him in.
A few moments just to make sure you.
There we go. Hello, Jason. How you doing? Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How's the weather in Cyprus?
At the moment, too humid, too hot.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty humid here as well. It's pretty hot here as well, but I'd much rather be in Cyprus at the moment. So
you don't get 42 degrees during the day, mate.
That would be very unfortunate. 42 degrees. Now I see that you've you posted on your on the Rate My Team on Discord. You posted a team. Is that your current team at the moment?
It is, yeah.
So if I bring that up now, so you've gone with a 5-4-1.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay, so we were just talking about that, having 5 at the back.
Yeah, I was listening. Yeah.
And you got some good feedback from the guys in the channel, didn't you, about your team?
I did. I was actually quite shocked, to be honest, because I don't really do good drafts, and then even if I do manage to do it, at some point I'd rethink it, let's say, and change it up, and basically all goes down the drain.
I mean, the first player that I look at in that team, which, last season I was talking about a lot with VAR coming in, and I've spoken about it already in podcasts just gone by, is Milivojevic, and I was convinced that he would be one of the first names that I'd want to bring in. Now, I do look at your team. But on the question about Milivojevic, are you confident that he's going to bring those points in with VAR, and obviously with Zaha being in the team currently?
Well, the only reason why I've got Millie is like he done something like 10 penalties last year, and I think he took 12, missed one, and one he scored from a free kick, something like that. So it was 10 penalties, 1 free kick.
Yeah, his conversion rate. That's one of the main reasons. His penalty conversion rate is ridiculously
good. The
main
reason for that was actually Zaha.
Mm.
So, and this is me actually going back. If you go back in the chat, I actually pointed this out when you guys were talking about Vardy. Is that okay? Vardy, yeah, he's a goal machine, but why go a 9 million striker with, let's say, Vardy, when you can actually get someone who's going to be providing the goals for him?
But then, I mean, a few people in chat were wondering why you've gone with Milivojevic in your team when you could have gone with Zaha, for example. Have you considered Zaha?
Actually, no. The only reason I will consider him if he actually does go to Arsenal.
So if he does go to Arsenal, you'll consider him?
Yeah.
But if he stays at Crystal Palace, you won't?
I won't, no.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
So
I think I'm getting a bit of an echo from you at the moment, Jason. I don't know if your mic's close to your speakers, but see, I think opposite to that. I think Zaha, if he stays at Palace, with what we've seen of him, we know what to expect, and with Milivojevic taking the penalties, I think that I would probably prefer Zaha at that price point. But it's interesting to hear your opinion on that.
Well, the reason being, can you still hear the echo, or is it?
Okay? No, it's fine. It's fine.
The reason behind the thinking is because if he does go to Arsenal, he will be for sure a starter. That's one thing. The second is Arsenal don't have a winger, so for me, he'll be playing, and the way Arsenal play, attack, is that basically he'll win more penalties.
Okay, so where do you see Zaha fitting into the Arsenal team? Where do you think he's going to be playing?
Even if they play a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 on the left-hand side, left wing, and Aubameyang will go to the right, like I said, up front. Because I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way.
Are you worried that that Emery may rotate Zaha though?
To who? There isn't another winger.
So you could say that they're going to play like a 4-3-1 then formation.
Either way,
it
will be a good idea. The same thing.
I think my issue with Zaha at Arsenal is that it's sort of like Sanchez to United, where Zaha is the absolute out and out main man, and everything goes through him attacking, and he dribbles with the ball constantly. He loses the ball sometimes he gets a penalty, sometimes he scores. It's the exact same thing with Sanchez at Arsenal.
We've seen it already, haven't we, with Zaha going back to United. When Zaha went back to United, he seems, under Crystal Palace, he seems to be, like you said, the centre of attention. And when he went back to United, he wasn't that focal point. And I would be worried as an Arsenal supporter. I would actually be worried because of his track record, not of what he can do, but of his track record more so. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. If he goes to Arsenal and Emery does play him on the left and he plays most games, with that attacking trio of him, Aubameyang, and Lacazette, I mean, on paper, on paper, absolutely, I completely agree. It could be really lucrative, but I would just be a little bit cautious about looking at it on paper and thinking, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I think a front three of Zaha, Aubameyang, and Lacazette gets Arsenal more goals, but Zaha at Crystal Palace gets Zaha more goals. If you're with me.
Yeah. But okay, so moving away from Zaha and Milivojevic picks, you've gone with the 5. You've gone with the powerhouse. You got the Van Dijk pick. You got the Alexander-Arnold pick. That's not surprising to me. You're going to stick with Dunk as a starter over Calvert-Lewin. Is that going to be a definitive?
For game week 1, I would say yeah, because I don't really fancy away to Crystal Palace for Calvert-Lewin, and it also depends on if they actually do bring a striker in, and if it is Diego Costa, he will be my main focus.
Yeah, Diego Costa is going to be a lot of people looking at that and smiling if he does make that move.
But I wouldn't fancy him at Wolves though.
Well, I don't know. I think Wolves. I mean, they've got Jimenez, but Diego Costa offers that strong target man. Whereas Jota could easily play off of him. Jota and Jimenez could easily play off of Diego Costa.
But I actually think that Jimenez is Diego Costa in a younger version.
He doesn't hold the ball. He doesn't have that physicality that Costa does, though. I know what you're saying about holding the ball up. He does hold the ball up, yes. But I mean, as Wolves push forward, and Jimenez to me, he's looking to get in behind more than Costa did, and
Yeah.
I mean, they are slightly different players, but I do think that Costa would fit well into. I mean, I do like. I'm quite excited about the prospect of Costa and Wolves adding that element to the Wolves team, and also the price is going to be the big one. But yeah.
But have you seen what John Harris has just posted in the chat though? I'm telling you that VAR and Costa is going to equal a 5-match battle. That's not far wrong either, to be fair.
Is it? Can I just ask what's your opinion on VAR?
Who, me?
Like can we go like as a general whole? What's your opinion of? I know it's going to be. It's not a subject which you need to say in one sentence. But are you excited to see VAR this season?
Well, that's why I've got 4 penalty takers in my team.
Do you think it's gonna have quite a big impact then in the Premier League?
Especially during the first weeks, yeah. Do you remember when suddenly all the referees were on corners and on set pieces? They were looking at what was going on in the pushing and shoving with the defenders and the marking. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be kind of like that.
Yeah. But you know that it's gonna make the FPL game way more emotional roller coaster, don't you? Because last season we were literally watching replays to see who got the last touch to be the assist, and meticulously looking through and he brushed his shoulder, he could get the assist. But now we're going to be like celebrating goals. I mean, for teams that we don't support, and it's going to be that emotional. Cool up, VAR review, and it's just going to be, oh my god, and it's going to be money on the line for people in cash leagues. It's going to be reputation on the line. It's going to really throw an extra element of stress, I think, into the game. I'm trying to prepare myself for it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it kind of relieves a bit of stress. I remember game week 1.
It's drama, isn't it?
United against. Yeah, I can't remember who United played the first game. I think it was Leicester, maybe. But anyway, Sanchez got an assist for just the most unassisting assist you could ever imagine. He puts the ball and it hits 2 of the defenders, and then it dribbles through, and then Lukaku puts it away, and he got an assist for that. And the guy that I was with goes straight top of the league that we're doing, and I was fuming for days. If you get VAR in, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it'll balance out. Hopefully, there won't be Hopefully, there won't be the controversy. That's the main. Well, hopefully there won't be the controversy that we've seen in the past, but there will be a new element of controversy, won't there? You can see it.
Someone posted a picture on Twitter earlier today that was quite interesting about VAR, and that it didn't actually make as much of an impact as
Yeah,
what we thought
it's
it
been
was gonna
talked
make.
about. It's been
I don't know
talked
if you've
about quite a
seen
lot.
that.
Yeah, there's not been a lot of impact, but then that's not the Premier League, and we just don't know how the officials are going to treat it. And it's people having penalty takers and set piece takers in their team. It's will it inevitably increase their points in the first few weeks of the season? We don't know, but I don't think it's going to stop people from doing that.
I think that's what. So earlier on, Jason, when I was asking you about double Liverpool in your defence, that was kind of where I was aiming that question from with regards to VAR.
Yeah.
So, for example, someone's playing against Liverpool, flukes a penalty decision or whatever, it goes via VAR, penalties given, and all of a sudden your two players are going to possibly lose a rake of points, because we've seen that happen in FPL over the last season with no VAR. That your defence is looking pretty solid, and then in the space of 2 minutes,
I think,
it just disappears.
I think you're right, because what I will say about the Premier League last season and in previous season, there's a lot of physical stuff going on in the box when it comes to corners, isn't there? Have you noticed that? Like you've seen, and I'm worried that VAR now, because like you were saying the first few weeks about VAR. What I can say. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, it seems that obviously the Premier League's more physical than like the Spanish leagues, and I just think come to corners, there's going to be that shoving and almost wrestling at times, and I think if there's going to be penalties given, I think that's one of the key areas where I think we're going to see VAR decisions in the first few early stages of the league.
No, I know what you're saying.
You don't think?
Can I just say on the flip side of that?
Yeah.
If you see my team, if you see all the back five, let's say Trent and Digne, they're taking the corners, right? So even if something does happen,
yeah, they get this.
They're going to get the assist, right? So let's just say
I agree. I agree absolutely, and that's
You see the three I've got: Laporte, Van Dijk, Dunk. They're the ones attacking the corners. So even if that doesn't happen,
they might be on the assist because they're the ones getting pulled in the box, pulled over in the box. Absolutely, because especially Dunk. How many times have we seen him getting involved and getting stuck in? Exactly.
So it's basically it's what you believe will happen and trusting your gut, and hopefully that manage to. It's basically flipping a coin.
Absolutely, and that's what football's about: flipping a coin. But guys, the time is now almost 10:10. I've gone 10 minutes over what I planned to. I can't go on for any longer. I'm really sorry. But this was only supposed to be a short stream. Thank you ever so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, guys. It's a pleasure to speak to you, Keboy. Keboy, I don't know what your real name is, but and Jason, Kieran, and Jason from Cyprus. It's going to be late where you are, so I really I hope you sleep well, and hope to see you again in the chat. And Stevie, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me as well. Everybody in chat, you guys are awesome for coming back every stream. I'm sorry I didn't read through everyone's comments. I have been looking at them. I have been reading them. I may have not read them out loud. My thoughts on Neves, good player. Is he a great FPL player? Not so sure. Sterling with less penalties because he can't stick his... Okay. Yeah, so VAR, I think, is going to be drama central in next season. So thank you again, and until next time.
Hello there, welcome to our Elite FPL.
Pun where Shaw's lights were knocked out. Dan, you may want to turn on your light because you're
Chat said that Steve-O, if you bench Alonso and he returns, you have to get a history tattoo.
Well, people in chat saying, Jack, before we move on to the Elite FPL.
First of all, my name isn't Jack. Right, okay, I'm gonna let Dan speak because it seems to be mainly me and. Go, Dan. Go ahead. What are you going to do?
It's absolutely fascinating.
Jason, try and just stop.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm.